A girl got pregnant at age 9, but the most shocking thing? It wasn't because of a man. The truth behind this story will leave you shocked. You might think this is some kind of cheap sensationalism, but the explanation is even more surprising than you might think. In a quiet Midwestern town where rumors spread faster than the wind and traditions held firm like the ancient oak trees lining Main Street, lived a young woman named Emily Thompson. To anyone passing by, Emily seemed just like any other resident of Millbrook, Kansas. Her smile brightened even the cloudiest days, and her eyes carried a spark of intelligence and curiosity. Yet, hidden beneath her friendly demeanor was a secret capable of unraveling the town's sense of normalcy. Soon, the people of Millbrook would be forced to confront their assumptions, as appearances gave way to deeper truths, and Emily's inner strength revealed itself in unexpected ways. From the moment Emily could walk, it was clear that she was different. While other children sprouted like weeds, growing taller with each passing season, Emily's growth seemed to have stalled. Her parents, Rebecca and Michael Thompson, watched with growing concern as their daughter remained small in stature, her cherubic face unchanging as the years rolled by. They consulted countless doctors, each one more perplexed than the last. Emily had a rare condition, they were told, one that affected her physical development in ways that medical science was still struggling to understand. As Emily entered her teenage years, the disconnect between her appearance and her true age became increasingly apparent. While her peers experienced growth spurts and the awkward changes of puberty, Emily remained locked in the body of a child. Her mind, however, was sharp as a tack, filled with dreams and aspirations that far exceeded the limitations of her physical form. The residents of Millbrook, well-meaning but often judgmental, treated Emily with a mixture of pity and fascination. Whispers followed her as she walked down the street. "Poor dear," they would say, shaking their heads. "Will she ever grow up?" Little did they know that Emily was growing in ways they couldn't see, developing a resilience and inner strength that would soon be put to the test in ways no one could have imagined. Before we continue, leave a comment below telling me where you're watching this video from. I'd love to know. Despite the challenges she faced, Emily refused to let her condition define her. She excelled in her studies, devouring books with an insatiable appetite for knowledge. Her teachers marveled at her intelligence, often forgetting that the small figure sitting in the front row was not actually a grade school student who had wandered into the wrong classroom. It was during her senior year of high school that Emily met Jake Anderson. Jake was new to Millbrook, having moved from Chicago with his family. Unlike the other students who either ignored Emily or treated her like a curiosity, Jake saw beyond her appearance. He was drawn to her quick wit, her kind heart, and the depth of her character. As they spent more time together working on school projects and sharing their hopes for the future, a bond began to form that neither of them fully understood. Their friendship blossomed into something more, a secret romance that they kept hidden from the prying eyes of Millbrook. Emily knew that if people found out, they would be scandalized. How could someone who looked like a child be in a relationship? But with Jake, Emily felt seen for who she truly was. He didn't treat her like a child or a freak of nature. To him, she was simply Emily, brilliant, compassionate, and worthy of love. As graduation approached, Emily and Jake made plans for their future. They would leave Millbrook behind, start fresh in a big city where no one knew them, or the unique challenges they faced. But fate had other plans, plans that would test their love, their resolve, and the very fabric of their small town's beliefs. It started with a feeling, a slight queasiness that Emily initially attributed to nerves about the upcoming changes in her life. But as days turned into weeks and the nausea persisted, accompanied by fatigue and other subtle changes, a spark of realization ignited in Emily's mind. Could it be possible? The very thought seemed absurd, given her condition and the way the world perceived her. With trembling hands and a racing heart, Emily purchased a home pregnancy test from the pharmacy 2 towns over, where she wouldn't be recognized. In the privacy of her bathroom, she took the test, her mind swirling with a mixture of fear and an emotion she couldn't quite name. Was it hope? As she waited for the results, Emily's thoughts drifted to Jake, to their dreams of a future together, and to the countless obstacles they had already overcome. When she finally looked at the test, her world shifted on its axis. Two pink lines stared back at her, unmistakable in their implication. Emily was pregnant. The news hit her like a tidal wave, a mix of joy, terror, and utter disbelief. How would she tell her parents? How would Jake react? And most pressingly, how would a town that still saw her as a child handle the news that she was going to become a mother? Emily's first instinct was to hide, to keep this monumental secret to herself until she could figure out what to do. But as days passed and the reality of her situation sank in, she knew she couldn't face this alone. With hands shaking and heart pounding, she called Jake and asked him to meet her at their secret spot by the lake. The sun was setting, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, when Emily broke the news to Jake. She watched his face carefully, bracing herself for shock, anger, or rejection. But Jake surprised her, as he always had. After a moment of stunned silence, his face broke into a smile of pure joy. He wrapped Emily in his arms, tears streaming down both their faces as they laughed and cried together. "We're going to be parents," Jake whispered, his voice filled with awe and love. "I know it won't be easy, but we're in this together, Emily. No matter what." Their moment of happiness was short-lived, however, as the reality of their situation set in. They knew that keeping this secret was impossible. Emily's condition meant that her pregnancy would be high risk, requiring careful medical supervision. And in a town like Millbrook, secrets had a way of coming to light, often in the most dramatic and painful ways possible. Together, they decided to tell Emily's parents first. The conversation was one of the most difficult Emily had ever faced. Her mother, Rebecca, listened in shocked silence as Emily explained the situation, her face cycling through a range of emotions: disbelief, anger, fear, and finally a resigned sort of acceptance. "Oh, Emily," Rebecca sighed, pulling her daughter into a tight embrace. "My brave, beautiful girl. We'll get through this together." Michael, Emily's father, took longer to come around. He paced the living room, his face red with a mixture of anger and concern. "Do you have any idea what you're getting into?" he demanded. "The risks, the challenges? And what about your future, your plans for college?" Emily stood her ground, her small frame seeming to grow taller as she faced her father's fears with determination. "I know it won't be easy, Dad," she said, her voice steady. "But this is happening, whether we like it or not. I need your support, not your judgment." As the reality of the situation sank in, the Thompson family rallied around Emily. They scheduled appointments with specialists, researched the unique challenges Emily might face, and began to prepare for a future that none of them had ever imagined. But the biggest challenge was yet to come, telling the town of Millbrook. Emily and Jake decided to face the music head-on, knowing that rumors and gossip would only make the situation worse. They called a meeting at the town hall, inviting friends, neighbors, and even the local press. The day of the meeting dawned bright and clear, a stark contrast to the turmoil Emily felt inside. As she stood before the crowd, her small hand clasped tightly in Jake's larger one, she could feel the weight of 100 curious stares. The room was thick with tension, whispers and murmurs creating a low hum of anticipation. Emily took a deep breath and stepped forward. "I know many of you have questions," she began, her voice surprisingly strong. "You've known me all my life, watched me grow, or rather, not grow." A ripple of uncomfortable laughter passed through the crowd. "But there's something you need to understand. My condition, the reason I look the way I do, doesn't define who I am inside." She paused, gathering her courage for the bombshell she was about to drop. "I'm 19 years old, legally an adult, and capable of making my own decisions, and I'm here today to tell you that I'm pregnant." The silence that followed was deafening. Emily could see the shock on every face, could almost hear the gears turning in their minds as they struggled to reconcile the childlike figure before them with the news she had just shared. Then, like a dam bursting, the questions came flooding out. How was this possible? Was it safe? Who was the father? Emily and Jake stood firm, answering each question with as much honesty and dignity as they could muster. They explained Emily's condition, the challenges they would face, and their commitment to each other and their unborn child. As the meeting progressed, Emily could see the mood in the room shifting. Initial shock and disbelief gave way to concern, and then, gradually, to a tentative acceptance. Mrs. Johnson, Emily's former third-grade teacher, was the first to step forward. "I remember when you were in my class," she said, her voice wavering with emotion. "You were always the brightest student, with a heart twice the size of anyone else's. If anyone can handle this challenge, it's you, Emily." Her words seemed to break a spell. One by one, members of the community came forward to offer their support. There were still those who disapproved, who muttered darkly about morality and proper behavior. But they were in the minority. Millbrook, for all its faults, was rallying around one of its own. The months that followed were a whirlwind of doctor's appointments, preparations, and adjustments. Emily's pregnancy progressed, bringing with it a unique set of challenges. Her small frame struggled to accommodate the growing life within her, and she faced a constant battle with fatigue and discomfort. But there were moments of pure joy, too. The first time Emily felt the baby kick, she burst into tears of happiness. Jake was there, his hand on her belly, marveling at the miracle they had created together. They spent long evenings talking about their future, picking out names, and imagining the life they would build for their child. As Emily's due date approached, the entire town seemed to hold its breath. The local newspaper ran daily updates on her condition, and it wasn't uncommon to see groups of people gathered outside the Thompson house, offering prayers and well wishes. When Emily finally went into labor, it was as if the whole of Millbrook came to a standstill. Jake rushed her to the hospital, followed by a caravan of family members and concerned neighbors. The delivery was long and difficult, pushing Emily to the very limits of her endurance. But through it all, she remained strong, drawing on a well of inner strength that surprised even her. After 22 hours of labor, Emily and Jake welcomed their daughter into the world. Lily Thompson Anderson was born healthy and perfect, with a shock of dark hair and eyes that seemed to hold all the wisdom of the universe. As Emily held her daughter for the first time, she felt a love so profound it took her breath away. The news of Lily's birth spread through Millbrook like wildfire. The town celebrated as if Lily was everyone's child, not just Emily and Jake's. Casseroles and baby gifts appeared on the Thompsons' doorstep daily, and visitors streamed in to catch a glimpse of the miracle baby. As Emily settled into motherhood, she found herself facing a new set of challenges. Her small stature made caring for Lily difficult at times, but she adapted, finding creative solutions to everyday problems. Jake was a constant source of support, his love for Emily and Lily growing stronger with each passing day. The couple's journey had captured the attention of the national media, and soon Emily found herself fielding interview requests from major news outlets. At first, she was hesitant, wary of exposing her family to more scrutiny, but Jake encouraged her to share their story, seeing it as an opportunity to raise awareness about Emily's condition and to challenge societal perceptions about ability and parenthood. Their first televised interview was nerve-wracking, but Emily spoke from the heart, her words touching millions of viewers across the country. "Love doesn't care what package it comes in," she said, cradling Lily in her arms. "It doesn't matter if I look different or face unique challenges. What matters is the love I have for my daughter and the determination to give her the best life possible." As Lily grew, Emily and Jake faced each new milestone with a mixture of joy and trepidation. When Lily took her first steps, toddling past her mother with ease, Emily felt a pang of bittersweet emotion, but she pushed aside any feelings of inadequacy, focusing instead on the pride and love that swelled in her heart. The years passed, and Lily blossomed into a vibrant, compassionate young girl. She inherited her mother's intelligence and her father's easy charm, but more importantly, she developed a deep understanding of diversity and the importance of looking beyond appearances. Emily and Jake's relationship deepened and matured, tempered by the challenges they had faced together. They renewed their vows on their 5th wedding anniversary, surrounded by friends and family who had supported them through thick and thin. As they exchanged rings, Emily marveled at how far they had come from those early days of secret meetings and uncertain futures. Their story inspired others facing similar challenges, and Emily found herself becoming an advocate for those with rare medical conditions. She spoke at conferences, wrote articles, and worked tirelessly to promote understanding and acceptance. Her experiences had given her a unique perspective on life, love, and the true meaning of family. As Lily prepared to start school, Emily faced a new set of worries. Would her daughter face bullying or discrimination because of her mother's appearance? But Lily, wise beyond her years, put Emily's fears to rest. "You're the best mom in the whole world," she declared, hugging Emily tightly. "And anyone who can't see that is just silly." The first day of school arrived, and Emily walked Lily to her classroom, ignoring the curious stares of other parents. As they reached the door, Lily turned to her mother with a bright smile. "I love you, Mommy," she said, before bounding into the classroom with confidence. Emily watched her go, tears pricking at her eyes. She felt a hand on her shoulder and turned to see Jake standing beside her, his eyes shining with pride and love. "We did it," he said softly. "Against all odds, we made it here." As they walked home together, Emily reflected on the journey that had brought them to this point. The challenges, the fears, the moments of doubt, all of it had led to this. A life filled with love, purpose, and a deeper understanding of what it truly means to be human. Emily Thompson's story was far from over. There would be more challenges to face, more obstacles to overcome, but she faced the future with hope and determination, knowing that with love and support, anything was possible. Her journey had taught her that true strength comes not from physical appearance or societal expectations, but from the courage to be oneself and the willingness to love unconditionally. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in vibrant hues of orange and pink, Emily found herself reflecting on the incredible journey that had brought her to this moment. The streets of Millbrook, once filled with whispers and sideways glances, now echoed with the sound of children's laughter and friendly greetings. She took a deep breath, savoring the crisp evening air and the sense of belonging that had taken root in her heart. Emily's gaze wandered to the playground across the street, where Lily was swinging high, her pigtails flying in the wind. Jake stood nearby, his tall frame easily distinguishable as he chatted with other parents. The scene before her was so wonderfully ordinary, yet to Emily it represented a dream she had once thought impossible. As she watched her family, a wave of emotion washed over her. Every challenge, every tear shed, every moment of doubt had led to this, a life overflowing with love, purpose, and acceptance. Emily realized that her journey had not just changed her own life, but had rippled outward, touching the lives of countless others in ways she was only beginning to understand. Her thoughts were interrupted by the patter of small feet running towards her. Lily launched herself into Emily's arms, nearly knocking her over with the force of her enthusiasm. "Mommy, did you see how high I was swinging?" Lily exclaimed, her eyes bright with excitement. Emily hugged her daughter close, marveling at how perfectly Lily fit in her arms despite her own small stature. "I saw, sweetheart," she replied, her voice filled with pride. "You were flying like a bird." Jake joined them, wrapping his arms around both Emily and Lily in a group hug that felt like coming home. As they stood there together, Emily felt a sense of peace settle over her. She knew that life would continue to present challenges. Her condition wasn't going away, and there would always be those who didn't understand. But she also knew that with her family by her side, she could face anything. As they walked home hand in hand, Emily's mind drifted to the future. Lily would grow taller than her soon, a fact that both amused and slightly saddened her. There would be new milestones to navigate, new hurdles to overcome. But Emily was no longer afraid. She had learned that true strength came from within, from the love she shared with her family and the resilience she had cultivated through years of adversity. The streetlights flickered on as they turned onto their street, illuminating the path ahead. Emily squeezed Jake's hand, feeling a surge of gratitude for the man who had seen beyond her appearance and loved her for who she truly was. Together, they had defied expectations and built a life filled with joy, laughter, and unconditional love. As they approached their home, a cozy two-story house with a white picket fence, Emily paused for a moment. She looked at Jake, then down at Lily, who was skipping alongside them, humming a tune from her favorite cartoon. In that instant, Emily was struck by the simple beauty of their life together. "What is it, love?" Jake asked, noticing her thoughtful expression. Emily smiled, her eyes shining with unshed tears of happiness. "I was just thinking, we did it, Jake. Despite everything, we really did it. We created this beautiful life, this amazing family. Sometimes I still can't believe it's real." Jake leaned down to kiss her forehead, a gesture that still made Emily's heart flutter after all these years. "Believe it," he said softly. "You made it happen, Emily. Your strength, your love, you've moved mountains." Lily tugged on Emily's hand, impatient to get inside for dinner. As they walked up the path to their front door, Emily felt a renewed sense of purpose. Her journey wasn't over. In many ways, it felt like it was just beginning. There were still stories to tell, battles to fight, and minds to change. But here, in this moment, with her family by her side, Emily knew that she was exactly where she was meant to be. As they crossed the threshold into their home, filled with the warmth of love and the promise of tomorrow, Emily silently vowed to continue sharing her story. Not just for herself, but for every person who had ever felt different, overlooked, or underestimated. Her life was testament to the power of love, acceptance, and the indomitable human spirit. The door closed behind them, shutting out the world for another evening. But Emily knew that tomorrow would bring new opportunities to make a difference, to challenge perceptions, and to live life to its fullest, no matter what package it came in. As Emily helped Lily set the table for dinner, her mind wandered to the upcoming week. She had been invited to speak at a conference for families dealing with rare genetic conditions. The thought both excited and nervous her. Public speaking had become easier over the years, but sharing her story still required a level of vulnerability that sometimes left her feeling exposed. "Mommy, can I put the flowers in the middle?" Lily asked, holding up a small vase filled with daisies they had picked from their garden earlier that day. Emily smiled warmly at her daughter. "Of course, sweetheart. That's a wonderful idea." As Lily carefully placed the vase on the table, Emily marveled at her child's innate kindness and creativity. These were the moments that made every struggle worthwhile. Jake emerged from the kitchen carrying a steaming dish of lasagna, Lily's favorite. The aroma filled the room, and Emily's stomach growled in anticipation. As they sat down to eat, the conversation flowed easily, a mix of Lily's animated recounts of her day at school, Jake's updates on his latest project at work, and Emily's thoughts on her upcoming speech. "I'm thinking of focusing on the importance of community support," Emily said, twirling pasta around her fork. "You know, how much it meant to us when Millbrook rallied around us during my pregnancy and after Lily was born." Jake nodded encouragingly. "That's perfect, Em. Your story could really inspire other communities to be more accepting and supportive." Lily piped up, her face serious. "Tell them about how love is the most important thing, Mommy. Like how you and Daddy love me and I love you no matter what anyone looks like." Emily felt her heart swell with pride. "That's beautiful, Lily. I think I'll do just that." After dinner, as Jake tackled the dishes and Lily worked on her homework, Emily retreated to their small home office to work on her speech. She sat at the desk, fingers poised over the keyboard, and began to type. Words flowed from her heart, telling a story of fear transformed into courage, of judgment giving way to understanding, and of a love so powerful it could overcome any obstacle. As she wrote, Emily reflected on how far they had come. The early days of her pregnancy had been terrifying, filled with uncertainty and the weight of others' doubts. But those challenges had forged her family into something stronger than she could have ever imagined. They had learned to face adversity with grace, to find joy in the smallest moments, and to never take their love for granted. Hours passed, and Emily was so engrossed in her work that she didn't notice Jake enter the room until he placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. She looked up, startled, and realized the house had grown quiet. "Lily's in bed," Jake said softly. "How's the speech coming along?" Emily stretched, feeling the satisfying pop of her joints. "I think it's good. Would you mind reading it over?" Jake pulled up a chair beside her, and together they pored over the words on the screen. As Jake read, Emily watched his face, seeing tears form in his eyes at certain passages. When he finished, he turned to her with a look of such love and admiration that it took her breath away. "Emily, this is incredible," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You're going to change lives with this speech." Emily leaned into him, drawing strength from his unwavering support. "I hope so," she whispered. "I just want to help others see that different doesn't mean less, that love and acceptance can overcome any challenge." Jake wrapped his arm around her, pulling her close. "You've already done that, love. Every day, with every person you meet, you're changing perceptions. And Lily, she's growing up with such a beautiful understanding of the world because of you." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, the soft glow of the computer screen illuminating their faces. Emily thought about the journey ahead, not just the conference, but all the challenges and triumphs that awaited them in the years to come. She knew there would be difficult days, moments when the weight of being different felt too heavy to bear, but she also knew that she had the strength to face whatever came her way. As they got ready for bed that night, Emily paused by Lily's room, peering in at her sleeping daughter. Lily's chest rose and fell with deep, even breaths, her face peaceful in slumber. Emily felt a surge of fierce love and protection. She vowed silently to continue fighting for a world where Lily, and all children, could grow up free from judgment and full of possibility. Crawling into bed beside Jake, Emily felt a deep sense of contentment settle over her. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities to educate and inspire. But here, in the quiet of their home, surrounded by the love of her family, Emily knew she was exactly where she belonged. As she drifted off to sleep, Emily's last thoughts were of gratitude. Gratitude for the life she had built, for the love she had found, and for the opportunity to share her story with the world. In her dreams, she saw a future bright with promise, a future where differences were celebrated, where love knew no boundaries, and where every person, no matter their appearance or abilities, could find their place in the world. And in that dream, Emily stood tall, her small stature no longer a limitation, but a testament to the strength of the human spirit. She was ready to face whatever tomorrow might bring, armed with the unwavering support of her family and the knowledge that love, in all its forms, was the most powerful force in the universe. As the first rays of sunlight filtered through the curtains, Emily stirred, her mind already racing with thoughts of the day ahead. She glanced at Jake, still peacefully asleep beside her, and smiled softly. Careful not to wake him, she slipped out of bed and padded quietly to the kitchen to start the coffee maker. The house was quiet, save for the gentle hum of the refrigerator and the occasional chirp of birds outside. Emily relished these early morning moments of solitude, using them to gather her thoughts and prepare for the day's challenges. As she waited for the coffee to brew, she found herself drawn to the family photos adorning the walls of their cozy kitchen. Her eyes lingered on a particular image, a candid shot taken at Lily's 5th birthday party just a few months ago. In it, Emily was kneeling beside Lily as they both laughed at something off camera, their faces alight with joy. What struck Emily most about the photo was not the visible difference in their sizes, but the unmistakable bond between mother and daughter that radiated from the image. The coffee maker beeped, pulling Emily from her reverie. As she poured herself a cup, she heard the telltale sounds of Lily waking up, the creak of a bed, the patter of small feet on hardwood floors. Moments later, a sleep-tousled Lily appeared in the kitchen doorway, rubbing her eyes and yawning. "Good morning, sweetheart," Emily said warmly, opening her arms for a hug. Lily rushed into her embrace, and Emily marveled, as she often did, at how her daughter was already nearly as tall as she was. "Morning, Mommy," Lily mumbled into Emily's shoulder. "Is today your big speech day?" Emily nodded, running her fingers through Lily's tangled hair. "It is. Are you excited to spend the day with Grandma and Grandpa?" Lily pulled back, her face brightening. "Yeah, Grandpa said we might go to the zoo." As Emily helped Lily get ready for the day, Jake joined them, his presence bringing a sense of calm and completeness to their morning routine. Over breakfast, they discussed the day ahead, Emily's speech, Jake's plans to catch up on work from home, and Lily's anticipated zoo adventure. As the time approached for Emily to leave for the conference, She felt a familiar flutter of nerves in her stomach. Jake must have noticed, because he pulled her aside while Lily was brushing her teeth. "You've got this, Em," he said softly, his hands resting on her shoulders. "Your story is powerful, and your words are going to touch so many lives today." Emily took a deep breath, drawing strength from Jake's unwavering belief in her. "Thank you," she whispered, standing on her tiptoes to kiss him. "For everything." The drive to the conference center was a blur of last-minute mental preparation and deep breathing exercises. As Emily parked her car and made her way inside, she couldn't help but notice the curious glances from other attendees. But where once those looks might have made her shrink into herself, now she held her head high, meeting their gazes with a confident smile. The conference room was already filling up as Emily took her place at the side of the stage. She scanned the audience, seeing a sea of faces, some bearing visible signs of genetic conditions, others appearing typically developed, but all united by a shared experience of navigating a world that often struggled to understand and accept differences. As the moderator introduced her, Emily felt a sudden calm wash over her. She thought of Jake and Lily, of the life they had built together, and of all the challenges they had overcome. She thought of the countless individuals and families who might find hope in her words today. With a deep breath, she stepped onto the stage, ready to share her story and spread a message of love, acceptance, and the incredible strength of the human spirit. "Good morning," Emily began, her voice clear and strong. "My name is Emily Thompson, and I'm here today to talk about love. Not just the kind of love we read about in fairy tales, but the kind of love that changes lives, that moves mountains, and that has the power to transform entire communities." As she spoke, Emily could feel the energy in the room shift. People leaned forward in their seats, hanging on her every word. She shared her journey, the struggles, the triumphs, the moments of doubt, and the instances of unexpected kindness. She spoke of Jake's unwavering support, of Lily's pure and unconditional love, and of a small town that learned to see beyond appearances. "Our differences," Emily said, her voice filled with passion, "are not flaws to be hidden or overcome. They are the very things that make us unique, that challenge us to grow, and that give us the opportunity to show the world the true meaning of strength and resilience." As she concluded her speech, Emily looked out at the audience and saw tears in many eyes. But more than that, she saw hope. Hope for a future where difference was celebrated, where love knew no boundaries, and where every person, regardless of their appearance or abilities, could find their place in the world. The applause that followed was thunderous, filling the room and Emily's heart with a sense of purpose and accomplishment. As she stepped off the stage, she was immediately surrounded by people wanting to share their own stories, to thank her, to draw inspiration from her journey. In that moment, Emily realized that her story was no longer just her own. It had become a beacon of hope for others, a testament to the power of love and acceptance. As she listened to each person, offering words of encouragement and understanding, Emily felt a profound sense of gratitude for the life she had been given, challenges and all. The day flew by in a whirlwind of conversations, tears, and laughter. By the time Emily finally made it back to her car, she was exhausted but exhilarated. She couldn't wait to get home to Jake and Lily, to share with them the impact of her words and the connections she had made. As she drove home, the setting sun painting the sky in brilliant hues of orange and pink, Emily reflected on how far she had come. From a young woman afraid of her own reflection to a confident speaker inspiring hundreds, her journey had been extraordinary. But what made it truly special was not the challenges she had overcome or the accolades she had received. It was the love that had guided her every step of the way, the love of her family, her community, and herself. Emily smiled as she turned onto her street, eager to embrace Jake and Lily and share the events of the day. She knew that whatever the future held, they would face it together, with love, courage, and the unshakable belief that every life, in all its unique and beautiful forms, was a gift to be cherished and celebrated. As Emily pulled into the driveway, she saw Jake and Lily waiting for her on the front porch. Lily was bouncing with excitement, barely contained by Jake's gentle hand on her shoulder. The sight of them filled Emily with a warmth that pushed away the fatigue of the long day. Before she could even fully exit the car, Lily broke free and ran towards her, arms outstretched. "Mommy, you're home!" she cried, colliding with Emily in a whirlwind of hugs and giggles. Emily scooped Lily up, marveling as always at how her daughter was growing. "Hello, my sweet girl," she said, pressing a kiss to Lily's forehead. "Did you have a good day with Grandma and Grandpa?" As they walked towards the house, Lily launched into an animated recount of her day at the zoo, complete with impressions of the animals she'd seen. Jake met them halfway, wrapping both Emily and Lily in a warm embrace. "Welcome home, superstar," he murmured, giving Emily a quick kiss. "How did it go?" Emily's eyes shone with a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. "It was incredible," she said. "I can't wait to tell you all about it." Inside, the house was filled with the comforting aroma of Jake's cooking. As they settled around the dinner table, Emily found herself at the center of attention, with both Jake and Lily eager to hear about her speech. "Well," Emily began, a smile playing at her lips, "I think it's safe to say that our story touched a lot of hearts today." She went on to describe the conference, the faces in the audience, and the powerful connections she'd made. As she spoke, Emily could see the pride shining in Jake's eyes and the wonder in Lily's. "There was this one woman," Emily said, her voice softening with emotion, "who came up to me after the speech. She has a daughter with the same condition as me, and she said that hearing our story gave her hope for her child's future. She hugged me and just kept saying thank you over and over." Jake reached across the table, squeezing Emily's hand. "You're changing lives, Em. I'm so proud of you." Lily, who had been listening intently, piped up. "Mommy, does this mean more people will understand that being different is okay?" Emily felt her heart swell with love and pride for her perceptive daughter. "I hope so, sweetheart. That's what we're working towards. A world where everyone is accepted and loved for who they are." As the evening wore on, the conversation shifted to lighter topics: Lily's adventure at the zoo, Jake's progress on his latest work project, and plans for the upcoming weekend. But underneath it all, Emily could feel a shift, a sense that something significant had changed. Later, as she tucked Lily into bed, Emily found herself lingering, watching her daughter's peaceful face in the soft glow of the nightlight. "Mommy?" Lily's sleepy voice broke the silence. "Yes, darling? I'm glad you're my mommy, just the way you are." Tears pricked at Emily's eyes as she leaned down to kiss Lily's forehead. "And I'm so, so glad you're my daughter. I love you to the moon and back." "To the moon and back," Lily echoed, her eyes already drifting closed. Emily quietly made her way back to the living room, where Jake was waiting with 2 steaming mugs of tea. As she curled up next to him on the couch, Emily felt a profound sense of contentment wash over her. "You know," she said, taking a sip of her tea, "today made me realize something." Jake raised an eyebrow, encouraging her to continue. "All those years I spent wishing I could change, wishing I could be normal. I wouldn't take them back now if I could. Because everything, every struggle, every tear, every moment of doubt, led me here. To this life, this family, this purpose." Jake pulled her closer, pressing a kiss to her temple. "And you've turned those struggles into a beacon of hope for others. You're amazing, Emily Thompson." As they sat there, basking in the quiet comfort of their home and each other's company, Emily's mind drifted to the future. She thought about the lives she'd touched today, and the many more she hoped to reach. She thought about Lily growing up in a world that was slowly learning to embrace diversity in all its forms. And she thought about love, the kind of love that had carried her through the darkest times, that had given her the courage to stand tall despite her small stature, that had shown her the true meaning of strength and beauty. Emily knew that there would be more challenges ahead. The world was still far from perfect, and there would always be those who judged based on appearances. But she was ready to face whatever came their way, armed with the unwavering support of her family and the knowledge that her story had the power to change hearts and minds. As the night deepened and the house settled into quiet, Emily found herself filled with a sense of purpose and hope. Tomorrow would bring new opportunities to spread her message of love and acceptance. And she would meet each day with open arms, ready to show the world that true beauty comes in all shapes and sizes, and that love, pure, unconditional love, was the most powerful force of all. As the first light of dawn began to creep through the curtains, Emily stirred, her mind already buzzing with ideas and plans. The events of yesterday had ignited a fire within her, a renewed sense of purpose that burned brightly even in the early morning hours. Careful not to wake Jake, she slipped out of bed and made her way to the kitchen. As the coffee brewed, filling the air with its rich aroma, Emily found herself drawn to the small desk in the corner of the living room, where she often worked on her writing projects. She sat down, opening her laptop, and began to type. Words flowed from her fingers, fueled by the emotions and experiences of the previous day. Emily had always enjoyed writing, using it as a way to process her thoughts and feelings. But this morning felt different. There was an urgency to her words, a need to capture the stories she had heard and the connections she had made. Before she knew it, 2 hours had passed. The document before her was filled with anecdotes, reflections, and ideas for future speeches and workshops. Emily realized that her single speech at the conference was just the beginning. There was so much more she wanted to share, so many more people she wanted to reach. The sound of small feet padding down the hallway broke her concentration. Moments later, Lily appeared, rubbing sleep from her eyes. "Mommy, what are you doing up so early?" she asked, her voice still thick with sleep. Emily smiled, opening her arms to welcome her daughter. "Just doing some writing, sweetheart. I had some ideas I wanted to get down." Lily climbed into her lap, peering curiously at the screen. "Is it about your speech yesterday?" "Sort of," Emily replied, running her fingers through Lily's tangled hair. "It's about all the people I met and their stories. I think I might want to write a book." Lily's eyes widened with excitement. "A book? Really? Can I help?" Emily chuckled, touched by her daughter's enthusiasm. "Of course you can. In fact, I think your perspective would be very important. How about we start by you telling me what it's like to have a mom who's a little different?" As Lily began to speak, her words innocent yet profound, Emily felt a surge of emotion. Her daughter's understanding and acceptance were a testament to the power of love and open-mindedness. She quickly jotted down notes, marveling at the wisdom that flowed from her child's lips. Jake joined them a short while later, a knowing smile on his face as he took in the scene before him. "Looks like someone's been busy," he said, leaning down to kiss Emily good morning. "I think our Emily's been inspired," he added, ruffling Lily's hair affectionately. As they moved to the kitchen for breakfast, the conversation flowed easily, filled with ideas and plans. Emily shared her thoughts about writing a book, expanding her speaking engagements, and possibly starting a support group for families dealing with similar challenges. Jake listened intently, offering suggestions and support. "You know," he said thoughtfully, "I think you've found your calling, Em. This isn't just about sharing our story anymore. It's about changing the world, one heart at a time." Emily nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and trepidation. "It's a big undertaking," she admitted. "But after yesterday, I feel like I have to do this. There are so many people out there who need to hear that they're not alone, that being different doesn't mean being less." As they cleared the breakfast dishes, Emily's phone buzzed with a notification. It was an email from the conference organizer, praising her speech and asking if she would be willing to participate in a nationwide tour, speaking at schools and community centers about diversity and acceptance. Emily's heart raced as she read the email aloud to Jake and Lily. This was an opportunity she had never dreamed of, a chance to reach even more people with her message of love and acceptance. "What do you think?" she asked, looking from Jake to Lily and back again. "It would mean a lot of travel, a lot of time away from home." Jake's smile was warm and encouraging. "I think it's an amazing opportunity, Em. We'll make it work. Right, Lily?" Lily nodded enthusiastically. "You can teach people everywhere to be kind and accept everyone. And maybe I can come sometimes and help." Emily felt tears prick at her eyes, overwhelmed by the support of her family. "What did I do to deserve you two?" she murmured, pulling them both into a tight hug. As they embraced, Emily felt a sense of excitement and purpose wash over her. The journey ahead would be challenging, no doubt. There would be long days, difficult conversations, and moments of doubt. But she knew that with Jake and Lily by her side, she could face anything. This was more than just sharing her story now. It was about changing perceptions, opening hearts, and creating a world where everyone, regardless of their differences, could feel valued and accepted. Emily Thompson, once afraid to be seen, was now ready to stand in the spotlight, not for herself, but for all those who had ever felt different or out of place. As she replied to the email, accepting the speaking tour offer, Emily felt a profound sense of gratitude. Gratitude for her loving family, for the challenges that had shaped her into the person she was today, and for the opportunity to make a real difference in the world. The day stretched out before them, full of possibility. There were plans to be made, preparations to begin. But for now, Emily was content to bask in the love of her family, drawing strength from their unwavering support as she prepared to embark on this new chapter of her journey. With a deep breath and a determined smile, Emily looked to the future, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. She knew that as long as she had love in her heart and the courage to share her truth, there was no limit to the positive change she could bring to the world. As the days turned into weeks, Emily found herself swept up in a whirlwind of activity. The speaking tour was set to begin in just 2 months, and there was so much to prepare. Between writing her book, crafting new speeches, and making arrangements for her family during her absences, Emily barely had a moment to catch her breath. One sunny afternoon, as she sat at her desk surrounded by notes and outlines, Emily felt a small hand on her arm. She looked up to see Lily standing beside her, a concerned expression on her young face. "Mommy, are you okay? You look tired," Lily said, her voice tinged with worry. Emily smiled softly, pulling Lily into a warm embrace. "I am a little tired, sweetheart. There's so much to do before the tour starts." Lily nodded solemnly, her brow furrowed in thought. "Maybe you need a break. Daddy always says it's important to take breaks when you're working hard." Emily chuckled, marveling at her daughter's wisdom. "You know what? You're absolutely right. How about we take a little adventure this afternoon? Just you and me?" Lily's face lit up with excitement. "Really? Can we go to the park and feed the ducks?" "That sounds perfect," Emily agreed, already feeling some of the tension melt away at the prospect of spending quality time with her daughter. As they walked to the nearby park, hand in hand, Emily found herself reflecting on the whirlwind of changes in their lives. The speaking tour would take her away from home for weeks at a time, a prospect that both excited and terrified her. She worried about the impact on Lily and Jake, about missing important moments in their lives. At the park, as they tossed breadcrumbs to the eager ducks, Emily voiced her concerns to Lily. "You know, sweetie, Mommy's going to be away a lot in the coming months. How do you feel about that?" Lily was quiet for a moment, her little face scrunched in concentration. "I'll miss you," she said finally. "But I'm proud of you, Mommy. You're helping people. That's important." Emily felt her heart swell with love and pride. "You're such a wise little girl, you know that? And I promise, even when I'm away, I'll call every day. We can have special mother-daughter time when I'm home, just like this." As they continued their afternoon at the park, playing on the swings and chasing each other through the grass, Emily felt a renewed sense of purpose. Yes, the road ahead would be challenging, but the love and support of her family would be her anchor. That evening, after Lily was tucked into bed, Emily found Jake in their home office, poring over calendar. He looked up as she entered, a warm smile spreading across his face. "There's my world-changing wife," he said, pulling her into his arms. "How was your afternoon with Lily?" Emily sighed contentedly, leaning into his embrace. "It was exactly what I needed. Jake, are we doing the right thing? With this tour, I mean. It's going to be hard on all of us." Jake pulled back slightly, his hands on her shoulders as he looked into her eyes. "Emily, what you're doing is incredible. Yes, it'll be challenging, but we're a team. We'll make it work. And think of all the lives you'll touch, all the hearts you'll open." His words bolstered her resolve. "You're right," she said, nodding. "We're in this together." As they sat down to finalize the tour schedule, Emily felt a mix of excitement and nervousness flutter in her stomach. The coming months would take her to cities across the country, speaking at schools, community centers, and even a few televised events. It was more exposure than she had ever experienced, but she was ready for the challenge. You know, Jake said as they worked, I've been thinking, what if Lily and I joined you for part of the tour? We could turn it into a family adventure, see some new places together. Emily's face lit up at the suggestion. That would be wonderful. Are you sure you can take the time off work? Jake nodded, grinning. I've already spoken to my boss. He's on board with me working remotely for a few weeks. We can join you for the West Coast leg of the tour. As they continued planning, the tour began to feel less like a daunting task and more like an exciting family journey. They marked potential sightseeing spots in each city, discussed ways to make hotel rooms feel more like home, and brainstormed ideas for keeping Lily engaged and involved in the experience. Late into the night, as they finally closed their laptops and prepared for bed, Emily felt a sense of peace settle over her. Yes, the road ahead would be challenging, but with Jake and Lily by her side, she knew she could face anything. As she drifted off to sleep, Emily's mind wandered to all the people she would meet on her journey, all the stories she would hear, and all the lives she might touch. She thought of other families out there, facing their own unique challenges, and hoped that her words might bring them comfort and hope. In her dreams that night, Emily saw a world where differences were celebrated, where love knew no boundaries, and where every person, regardless of their appearance or abilities, could find their place. And in that dream world, she stood tall, not despite her small stature, but because of it, ready to share her story and spread a message of acceptance and love to all who would listen. The adventure was just beginning, and Emily Thompson was ready to embrace it with open arms, buoyed by the love of her family and the knowledge that her unique journey had the power to change lives, one heart at a time. As the first light of dawn broke through the curtains, Emily awoke with a renewed sense of purpose. Today was the day, the official start of her nationwide speaking tour. She took a deep breath, letting the magnitude of the moment wash over her. From the small-town girl who once shied away from the world to the woman standing on the precipice of making a real difference, Emily marveled at how far she had come. She padded quietly to Lily's room, gently waking her daughter for their special goodbye ritual. Lily's sleepy eyes blinked open, a mix of excitement and sadness reflected in them. "Today's the big day, huh, Mommy?" Lily whispered, sitting up to hug Emily tightly. Emily nodded, stroking Lily's hair. "It is, sweetheart. But remember, it's not goodbye. It's just, see you soon. And before you know it, you and Daddy will be joining me on the road." After a tearful but hopeful farewell with Jake and Lily, Emily found herself at the airport, her heart racing with anticipation. As she waited to board her flight, she pulled out the small, worn notebook she carried everywhere. In it were countless stories, her own and those of the people she'd met along her journey. These stories were her armor, her inspiration, and her gift to share with the world. The flight attendant's voice came over the intercom, announcing the final boarding call for her flight. Emily stood, gathering her courage along with her carry-on bag. As she walked down the jet bridge, she felt as though she was stepping not just onto a plane, but into a new chapter of her life. Settling into her seat, Emily gazed out the window at the sprawling city below. She thought of all the people down there, each with their own struggles, their own differences, their own stories, and she silently vowed to be a voice for them all. As the plane lifted off the ground, Emily closed her eyes, allowing herself a moment of quiet reflection. She thought of Jake and Lily, her pillars of strength. She thought of her parents, who had supported her through every challenge. She thought of the countless individuals who had shared their stories with her, trusting her to carry their voices forward. Opening her eyes, Emily watched as the city disappeared beneath the clouds. A smile played at her lips as she realized that she was no longer afraid of the unknown. Instead, she was eager to embrace it, to learn from it, and to use her experiences to foster understanding and acceptance in the world. The journey ahead would be long and at times difficult. There would be moments of doubt, of exhaustion, of homesickness. But Emily knew that every step of the way she would be carrying the love of her family and the hopes of countless others with her. As the plane soared through the sky, Emily Thompson, once a woman who felt limited by her appearance, now felt limitless. Her small stature, once a source of shame, had become her greatest strength. It was a testament to the power of self-acceptance, a living example that true beauty and worth come from within. The world was waiting, ready to hear her message of love, acceptance, and the celebration of differences. And Emily was ready to share it, one stage, one classroom, one heart at a time. As the captain announced their cruising altitude, Emily opened her notebook once more. On a fresh page, she began to write, "To all those who have ever felt different, who have ever been told they're too small, too big, too much, or not enough, this journey is for you. May my story be a reminder that our differences are not our limitations, but our greatest gifts. Together, we can create a world where every person is valued, where every voice is heard, and where love knows no bounds." With these words, Emily closed her notebook, her heart full of hope and determination. The adventure of a lifetime was just beginning, and she was ready to embrace every moment of it. As the plane carried her towards her first destination, Emily Thompson smiled, knowing that no matter where this journey took her, she was exactly where she was meant to be, standing tall in her truth, ready to change the world, one small step at a time.